Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please stand for the presentation of the colors by Boy Scout Troop number 6.
Color guard, advance.
And salute.
Okay, if you would remain standing and remove your caps for the singing of our national anthem by Mark Myers.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much, Mark. Well done. And please, everybody, before you take your seats, I ask that you remain standing for a few moments longer while the Cub Scouts from Pack 601 recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard, post the colors.
Okay, everybody, take your seats. I'd like to thank everybody here for showing up for the dedication of our honor roll plaque. We have many distinguished guests. We also have many family members of our fallen heroes. You know, just a little background on this project. It was Memorial Day 2010. I came up here for the parade and the opening ceremony, and I was thinking to myself, you know, it's Memorial Day. We're here to honor fallen soldiers. It's not really Veterans Day. So I started asking around, and nobody seemed to be able to tell me who we were here to honor that day. And that just, as the historian here in the Brookline community, I really wanted to enhance our Veterans Memorial page with a listing of these names, and so it kind of bothered me. I got together with my friend Doug Brendel, and we started our own little research project. It took quite a long time. We had to go through all the newspapers from Pearl Harbor Day until June of 1946 to cover World War II. We did the same thing with World War I. We had a little better resources for Korea and Vietnam, but it took several years to locate all these names, and then I tried to reach out, meet as many of the family members as I could, write stories on each of these soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. And once we got that done, and that was last year, Doug put together a presentation for the Planning and Arts Commission to kind of realize our end goal in all of this, which was to have this bronze plaque placed up here, here in Brookline as our hallowed war memorial. Little background on the park, on this little triangular park. At one time it was the Freehold Real Estate Office where they sold all the lots here in Brookline. In 1934, James McGaffin, who lived across the street, bought it from Freehold and then turned it over to the city with the permission that it be turned into a park. And from that moment on, the American Legion and several other veterans groups just have been working to bring us a cannon and the granite bench. Well, this is the latest addition, is our plaque, and I want to thank the Arts Commission really for and Doug for making this dream come true. So we have some very special guests here today, and we're going to start with somebody who was very generous in our fundraising efforts. Congressman Mike Doyle, would you like to come up, sir?
Thank you very much. It's a beautiful day today. I'm the son of a World War II Army Staff Sergeant that fought in France and Germany. He came home 100% service-connected disabled veteran, but he always considered himself one of the lucky ones because he came home. And you know, when you think about Western Pennsylvania, the people of this region have always answered the call to service whenever our country needed us, and Brookline's no different. And today we're here to honor 56 servicemen who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we could have days like this in this neighborhood and all across the country. So it was an honor and privilege for me to be part of the effort to make sure that this memorial got built. And I think all of us today should never forget the brave men and women who serve our military right as we speak today in many dangerous places overseas. They're far, far from home, and they're not able to enjoy a beautiful summer day like we are today in Brookline. So they deserve our thoughts and our prayers. And I just want to thank members of this community for what you've done here. It's a beautiful day. God bless.
Thank you so much, Congressman Doyle. We also have State Senator Wayne Fontana.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Senator Wayne Fontana, as Clint mentioned. Certainly proud to live here in Brookline, especially when you see days like this. And I'd like to start really with some thank yous, certainly to Clint for all he does and all the information he brings, and Doug and all the folks that Brookline Together and all the other individuals that led the effort to make this memorial plaque a reality. Thank you to all you guys. You certainly deserve it. But more importantly, I want to acknowledge and thank all the veterans that are standing here today, and certainly all the veterans that live in Brookline. You all deserve a big round of applause for your service. Thank you very much. I certainly want to also thank you for inviting me here today. I'm a big believer in these memorial spaces like this here at the Cannon. Of course, I believe they should be in every neighborhood. Not necessarily a cannon, though, because that's Brookline's unique statement and legacy for the last 80 years, Clint, or so?
It's
about 80 years. So it's unique, and everybody knows where the cannon is, right? But doesn't it look great? When you look around here, you know, there was some issues, and we got everything refurbished, including the cannon, and it looks great. Certainly all us Brookliners can be proud of this space, and especially what it represents. So we're gathered here today, as Clint mentioned, to dedicate this new memorial plaque that's going to be added, as you can see, to the park here, and it's to honor specifically the 56 heroes from our community that lost their lives during World War I, II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. And it's so important. I think that's why these spaces are so important in neighborhoods. It's so important that all of us here today and all the current residents of Brookline and all the future residents of Brookline preserve the memory of all those who've lost their lives in the defense of our country. They are the reason we have the freedom to gather here today and live in a free country, and that's so important. And we must never forget this. This memorial reminds us every day as we walk by and ride by that we have those freedoms and that these folks fought to make it possible. This dedication and this ceremony demonstrates Brookline hasn't forgotten their freedom fighters and never will. So congratulations and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Senator Fontana. And we also have here Representative Harry Reedshaw.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it is a pleasure to be with you all today for this momentous occasion, really. I served the United States Marine Corps, and I thank you, hoorah. And I have a special affinity, obviously, for Marine Corps, but I like to thank all who served, who are gathered here today and served our country. For those who may know history, I know some folks here will remember the person I'm going to speak of, and others perhaps through just knowing your history or familiar with this person. And I speak of General Douglas MacArthur, who served this country as a general in World War I, World War II, and during the Korean conflict. And his quote is, which always strikes me, and I always remember these three words: duty, honor, country. Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be. Duty, honor, country. And as we gather here today to obviously honor and in fact bestow our blessings on this monument and the 56 names on it who gave all that they could give, they recognized obviously their duty, their honor, and their country. So I thank you all for gathering here today. I thank everyone who is responsible for the hard work, dedication, in making this possible. And in closing, to these 56 people and to everyone who gave their life and served for our country, no matter what conflict or war it might have been, I would hope that those who have gone before us will always find us faithful to them and to our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Representative Reedshaw. We also have Representative Dan Miller. Thank you.
You know, I can't tell you how often I have the privilege of following Representative Reedshaw. For those of you who are from this area in particular, you know it. For those of you who maybe come from a little bit out too to be part of it today, Representative Reedshaw does a tremendous job in making sure that the veterans, families, those who have fallen are well represented. I always appreciate his words that he does here, but also that he brings to the House floor to be sure that those stories and memories are shared there as well. A lot's been said, and I appreciate and want to thank all the hard work, the councilman and everybody who's been involved in being sure that this gets done. It is fantastic. We have been doing a better job in recent time in many of our communities in making sure these types of memorials are here. The key thing about it, though, is not just to put this here and to leave it. Right, we're not looking to make this to just be something that you use for direction services, right? We'll take a left at the memorial or something, right? We need this to be sure that this is an active part. We want this to be an active place where you're pausing here and we're bringing in particular our young to talk about what it means to have your name on this. It has to be that sort of connection that we're making, and it's so good to see the Scouts and so many of our young kids here today. It has to continue to be that way. Nobody's looking for something in here. We put these names up here for a reason. We want to talk and think about their sacrifice and what it meant to do the job no matter where they were around this world in our interest and in our country's interest. We have to be sure that their stories, their names, or as much as we could possibly relate to what it meant to be a 20-year-old who gave their life in Normandy or wherever that may have occurred in Korea. We have to be sure that that's passed on. That's our obligation. So this is a start. It is a great start, and I thank everybody who's led the way on it. And it's up to us as a community to be sure that it is an active part of what we do here in Brookline. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Representative Miller.
I know all the reps think this too. Hey, look, if any veteran or anybody here would like to have the front seats, by all means, please come up and take them, okay? Because I know this gentleman that came up, so glad you did. This here gives you the cover. If you need to be on the cover, please come in, all right? No need to be under the heat or sun. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we also just arrived. We have Mayor Bill Peduto. Mayor, would you like to come up?
Doing great, thank you, and beautiful work as well. Get asked a lot, what makes a community? And a lot of people identify a community with a business district or with a church. Some people will identify it with a coffee shop. What builds a community is people. Last week we had the ability to celebrate an anniversary at Moore Park. Moore Park is an equalizer. It's a place where everyone gets together and everyone is equal. It's a place where memories are built for a lifetime for children. It's a place where grandparents can take their grandchildren and they can feel safe. A community is based upon what we reflect is what we value and what we take in a third place, not where we sleep at night, not where we work during the day, but where we go to in order to have a public space. In Brookline, the community has realized this location to be a part of that community. I want to thank the councilman. The work we've been doing in Moore Park, the work that Public Works has done in partnering with the people of Brookline on this special location comes about because he creates priorities. He makes it very easy for us to do our job because he takes your ideas of what the priorities are for this special neighborhood and makes sure it gets done. 56 people who gave their lives, who will never have that opportunity to raise a family or have a community or go to a third place. They called this neighborhood home. Will forever be recognized as being part of Brookline. And as we celebrate the combination between what government and the people who live in a neighborhood can do together, you should also celebrate that that priority of Brookline is making sure that they're never forgotten.
Thank you very much, Mayor Peduto. And we also have our District 4 Councilman, Anthony Coghill, played a pivotal role in making this all happen today.
You know, likewise with the mayor, I got to tell you, he's been so responsive to me no matter what it is that we need for our district. And I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I think Brookline is the best neighborhood in all the city of Pittsburgh. I mean, really. Many, many reasons why, but you go up and down this Brookline Boulevard, you can't even find an empty storefront today. Our property values are going through the roof. And how about Tony Garino and that celebration down in Moore Park last week, huh?
All right, Tony.
If you weren't there, you know, there were so many people that attended that I didn't even get a chance to see. There were so many people. So, Tony, great job. And I also want to say a special thank you to Clint and Doug Brendel. And how about a round of applause for them, please? Doug started calling my office, I think day one that I took office about this memorial. And, you know, of course, I'm a big supporter of all the veterans. And to the veterans, I will say this. I was one of the lucky ones. I never served. I got out of high school in 1984, and it was a time of peace. My father was a Korean War veteran, and my uncles were all World War II veterans. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart that it's something I didn't really have to even imagine or think of as far as going to war or enlisting, or certainly the draft was discontinued at that time. So to all the veterans, especially Mr. Reedshaw here, our Marine, you know, I want to thank you. Thank you for being here. What a great day. What a great turnout. And we look forward to many more like this.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for your help. And we also have a couple other special guests. I see Judge Jack McVeigh out there, District Attorney Stephen Zappala. I see him also. And I see my boss, Dwayne Ashley. Hi, Dwayne. Okay. All right. You know, the reason we're here is to honor these 56 soldiers. I've written stories about all of them, and I'm just going to relate a couple that came to my mind last night as I was, stressing over all this, trying to think of something to do because I couldn't sleep. We have Raymond Cronin. He was a Marine. He lost his life at the Battle of Belleau Wood, trying to reestablish contact with a French unit because the Marines were such hard chargers. They just kind of like got way out in front. French kind of lagged behind. He was very highly decorated. We have Clarence Copeland, very interesting. If we look behind us, the church with the red doors, at the time of World War II, the pastor of the church was Raymond Copeland. His son Clarence gave his life in 1943. He was a pilot, shot down over the Pacific. We have Tommy Cullison. I don't see Chuck here today. I wish he could have made it. Tommy was kind of like Brookline's Audie Murphy. He was a member of Patton's 3rd Army, very highly decorated platoon leader, lost his life in the Battle of Dornot, a diversionary attack so that Patton could cross the Moselle River 5 miles south. Tommy's unit beat back 47 attacks by an SS division. When they were given the opportunity to retreat back over the Moselle, Tommy gave his spot on a boat to a wounded soldier, tried to swim across. They never found his body. Frank Dornetto. I see Elvira Esposito here. Elvira's brother Frank was a water tender on the USS Indianapolis. They delivered the atomic bomb, and the ship was torpedoed. Frank lost his life then. Edward R. Diegelman, a member of the Sons of American Legion, lost his life off the coast of Puerto Rico in a B-29 training accident. Gerald Fagan. I'm not sure if the Fagans are here today.
We're all here.
Hey, there they are. Okay. Gerald Fagan, another officer in Patton's 3rd Army, fought his way all the way across France, fought through the battles of the Siegfried Line, lost his life outside the German city of Sevenig. Michael J. Mahoney. Wonder if Margie's here. There she is, I see her. Okay, Michael J., he enlisted when he was 17 years old. He fought his way all the way across France. He was only 18 years old when he died during the Battle of the Hurtgen Forest. Tech Sergeant Alexander Mayberry. I see Maud. She's here today. Alexander was a navigator in a B-17. Lost his life in 1943, I believe it was August. A mission over Italy. They completed their mission. They were jumped by German fighters, shot down. Alexander drowned in the Tyrrhenian Sea, south of Salerno. Robert C. Ketters, an interesting story, a quite meek kind of kid. He was off the Rhine River, actually captured a German general. Lost his life in April 1945 in a vehicle accident. Robert McCann and John Reitmeyer. I see Robert and Tim Reitmeyer here. John Reitmeyer was their uncle. Robert and John were both on the USS Juno in the naval battle of Guadalcanal. Their ship was torpedoed, and they both lost their lives. Robert and John were the first two casualties of World War II from Brookline. Walter F. Meisner, the Meisner family. They lived down in Florida. I don't know if Justin was able to make it. Oh, he's here. Okay. Walter couldn't make it into the Navy or the Army. He joined the Merchant Marine. He was a messman on Walter's first trip across the Atlantic on a Liberty ship that was torpedoed. Walter lost his life. Walter was not actually recognized as a veteran until, I think it was like 1996, when the government decided that merchant marine men who suffered enormous casualties in World War II were given veteran status. John R. O'Day, Kathy Amoroso couldn't be here today. She had an out-of-town engagement. John R. was a gunner's mate on the USS Drexler. Died in a kamikaze attack off of Okinawa. A couple more here. The Shannon brothers, the Shannon family on Midland Avenue, they had four sons that served. Harry lost his life in 1943 off of in the Pacific. He was a pilot. Jack, his younger brother, lost his life the day before the Battle of the island of Okinawa was secured. He was rooting out final pockets of enemy resistance. Lost his life on July 21st. The war was over only 2 weeks later. Harry Spack and Walter Wentz. Both, Harry was a tail gunner on a B-29. Walter was a radio man. They're both in different squadrons, but both were flying over Tokyo during one of the fire raids in May 1945. Both of their B-29s were shot down. Neither of their bodies were found. James Gormley in Korea, a forward observer. He lost his life heroically, stayed back, called in artillery to cover a retreat, never made it back. James got a Silver Star for that engagement, and he's now in the Hall of Valor, along with Tommy Collison, who we mentioned a little earlier. James E. McKenna lost his life during the Chinese intervention in Korea in 1951. He was the first Brookline boy to fall in Korea. James E. McKenna was the first Eagle Scout from Brookline Troop Number 6. Two others from Vietnam. James Collins, his brother Dale and Chet are here today. James fought through the Tet Offensive near Saigon, and in April of that same year, there was a mini Tet, and James heroically, he won a Bronze Star with a V for Valor for the engagement where he lost his life in a clearing sweep after the mini Tet offensive was beaten back. Ran into a large group of the enemy and heroically lost his life. And finally, James C. Wan. I see Bernice is here. James was at the Top Gun school in Miramar when they had a call for people to go overseas to fly in a secret squadron. They called it the Ghost Squadron, VO-67. What this squadron did, they flew little Neptune submarine hunters. They flew them over the Ho Chi Minh Trail. They had to fly low through valleys, very dangerous missions, dropping sensors along the trail. James elected to go so that other married men could stay. James, I believe, was a navigator, and he lost his life when his plane was shot down during one of these dangerous missions in support of the Quezon defense. And James' body was never found. It was lost over Laos. It was in 1994 that these missions were declassified. They were able to go in and search for the bodies. They never really found, they found the crash site. They never really found anything more than bone fragments, a couple teeth. But they did find one very interesting item. It was a medal that James' girlfriend was given from Father Garbin at Our Lady of Loretto. It was Our Lady. It was a medal of Our Lady of Loretto, the patron saint of aviators. When James' brother David saw that medal, he knew that his brother James had been found. And that's pretty much it. So I'd like to bring up a couple of our family members, say a few words about their loved ones. Let's start with Mr. Gorman, who's going to come up here and speak on behalf of Patrick Gallagher, who lost his life in Korea.
My name's Larry Gorman. I came here today with my Aunt Marilyn and my cousins Ron and Amy right here. Brookline has so much family history with my family. My grandparents lived on Bodkin Street. Marilyn and her family grew up on Plainview Avenue. My mom and dad, when they first got married, lived on Rossmore Avenue. And they actually got married here at Resurrection Church. But we're here today to honor these 56 great men, but most specifically my Uncle Pat, who I never met. He was killed March 7, 1951 in Korea. And he is and always will be a family hero. And I think this is a great thing what's going on here today. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gorman, and thank you very much, Marilyn, for coming today. I see Dale Collins. Dale Collins, the brother of James Collins. Dale's also a veteran.
I'm glad there's so many people up here today. My brother James G. Collins, he was killed when he was in Thowduck, May 11th, 1968. He was on, like Clint was saying, he was on a sweep, and they started to get attacked. A couple of my brother's comrades, they went down. My brother went out and brought in he brought about 3 of his comrades in, and then he was going out for another one of his comrades, and that's when he got mortally shot up. And then he says when they did actually find his body, he was severed. And that was on May 8th, or I'm sorry, May 11th, 1968. And I consider my brother a world hero. I mean, I love him. I miss him. Thank you, later.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Uncle John, actually I was a couple years old. He didn't have to go back in the Navy. He'd already been in the Navy in the early 30s. But when World War II started, he told his mother, I have to go back because he is a machinist. He was going to be on a cruiser, a brand new cruiser, a light cruiser called the Juno. And he said, I have to go back because these kids don't know how to operate in a machine shop in the engine room. So he did. He left, kissed his girlfriend goodbye, went on this ship. This is the one called the Juno. This is the one that had the 5 Sullivan brothers, all the brothers. Okay, it got torpedoed. Actually, the day after the battle, it was like moving away, and a Japanese submarine put 4 torpedoes in it. Okay. A ship's doctor, who happened to be on another ship because they had more damage, he heard the explosion. By the time that someone said that's the Juno, by the time he got to a porthole, all of the brothers, they said one brother survived but then died afterwards because they had the survivors, which not many, were left there for a day or two before they start looking for them. By that time, the older brother, George, had died. So yes, that was quite an experience. And that's my remembrance of World War II. I do remember at the end of World War II, I was a kid, probably 7 years old, walking up Brookline Boulevard, and everyone was celebrating with toilet paper. Enough said.
Hi. I want to thank Clint and Doug and everybody else that had a hand in this amazing memorial. As Clint mentioned, my uncle, Frank Paul Dornetto, he served on the USS Indianapolis and lost his life. I never met my uncle. He was gone long before I came, but me and my siblings, we were all raised to know his legacy and to know what a hero he was. And like a lot of other men and women who serve and lose their lives serving their country, his body was never recovered, so he doesn't have a resting place. So I want to thank everybody, because now it feels like we have a resting place for him. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Ladies and gentlemen, please pause for a moment to recognize our POW and MIAs. Please direct your attention to the small table and the Keystone Young Marines as they present the POW MIA table ceremony. Tablecloth. Drape the cloth on the table. The white cloth on the small table shows the frailty of the one lone prisoner against his or her captors, and the purity of their intentions to answer our country's call. Vase and rose. Place the rose in the vase. The single rose signifies the blood that was shed to ensure our freedom and reminds us of the many families and friends who kept the faith while waiting their return. Ribbon and plate. Tie the ribbon to the vase and place the plate on the table. The red ribbon represents the red ribbons worn on the lapels of many veterans who demand a proper account of those who are not among us. The plate is empty. They cannot share a meal with us. Lemon and salt. Place the lemon on the plate. A slice of lemon reminds us of their better fate. Sprinkle the salt on the plate. The salt reminds us of the countless volunteers of families as they wait. POW, MIA, flag, and glass. The chair is empty. They are not here. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us. Candle. Place the candle on the table. The candle burns the light of hope which lives in our heart to illuminate their way home, away from their captors to open arms of a forever grateful nation. American flag. The American flag reminds us that the many men and women of the armed forces may never return and have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Let us remember and never forget those sacrifices. And salute. Ready? 2. Ladies and gentlemen, this completes the POW MIA table ceremony.
March.
Raymond P. Cronin. Charles Lupi. From World War II, William H. Alm. Roy T. Aaronsburg. Bruce H. Bracey. Edward G. Brickley. James J. Capagreca. Clarence R. Copeland. Thomas J. Cullison. Howard F. Dempsey. Walter F. Dempsey. Edward R. Diegelman. Frank P. Dornetto. Joseph F. Doyle. Gerald B. Fagan. Harold F. Falk. Robert M. Fearing. Joseph J. Gamuka. Robert F. Heil. Richard E. Hines. Paul C. Kessler. Robert C. Ketters. Michael J. Mahoney. Arthur B. Majestic. Alexander G. Mayberry. John Mazza. Robert F. McCann. Hugh R. McFarland. Walter F. Meisner. William J. Miller. Edward J. Napier. John D. Nicholson. John R. O'Day. Andrew D. Orient. Raymond A. Pisecki. Alfred M. Reeves. John P. Reitmeyer. Fern M. Ring. Roy J. Ruane. Harry C. Shannon. Jack E. Shannon. James D. Simpson. Harry Spack. Paul M. Tobin. Howard F. Fearling. Ralph G. Wagner. Walter L. Wentz. Harold V. Zeiler. From the Korean War, Patrick J. Gallagher. James W. Gormley. Gerald G. Hilliard. James E. McKenna. And from the Vietnam War, James R. Bowdish. James C. Collins. James C. Wan.
Right face. Color guard, advance. Color guard, post the colors.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
We sure have worked a long time to see that. What do you say, Doug? Yeah. Okay. And now we have an honor guard from the Vietnam Veterans, Inc. It's going to perform a 3-volley salute. Well, that gets me every time. I'd like to keep you here for just a few moments longer while I thank some of the people who went above and beyond to make this dedication ceremony possible. First, I'd like to thank my good friend Doug Brendel for his hard work and dedication.
Way to go, Doug.
I'd like to thank Caitlin McNulty, Brookline Together, for her unwavering support of the project. And the same goes for Councilman Anthony Coghill and his Chief of Staff, Moira Kalida. I'd like to thank all the many fine individuals who contributed so generously to our fundraising effort, many of whom are with us here today. We couldn't have did it without you. I'd also like to thank Brookliners Richard DiCarlo, Tom Samstag, James Dinkle, and the Department of Public Works construction crew for their hard work in replacing the steps at the base of the monument and installing the plaques. They didn't really have to do all of that, but they did to help make this occasion special. And finally, I'd like to thank our 56 brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we here today can enjoy freedom, enjoy the freedom and liberty they strive to protect. I hope that these men are looking down upon us today from the heavens with a smile on their faces and a warm feeling in their hearts, knowing that we will never forget them and that their memories will live on for future generations of Brookliners right here on this honor roll plaque. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our ceremony.